current U.S. expansion is now the longest on record, spanning over a decade. But it has become increasingly reliant on buoyant consumer spending as manufacturing has slid into contraction and business investment remains lackluster. With a Phase 1 trade deal now in place between the United States and China, hope is that this will lift business sentiment. Some observers furthermore note that traditional investment measures may be understating the digital revolution, an argument that is underpinned by the stronger dynamics of investment in intangibles. Looking ahead to 2020, we nonetheless see several reasons why U.S. growth momentum is more likely to slow. Top of the list is a less favorable fiscal impulse, which we expect to turn to a modest drag in 2020. Next, we note that profit margins remain under pressure, and we expect to see slower hiring as corporates seek to strengthen margins. Furthermore, we see the new order of trade bilateralism, as opposed to multilateralism, as leading to structurally lower trade and international investment flows. Moreover, policy uncertainty is likely to remain high in the run-up to the presidential election in November 2020. And finally, while recent Fed easing has given a further support to both housing and financial asset valuations, our concern remains that monetary policy no longer enjoys the same potential as in the past to revive the economy. Turning to the euro area, the slowdown in global trade, along with specific factors relating to the auto sector, have clearly taken a toll on Germany, previously the powerhouse of the region. Moreover, what began as a slowdown in manufacturing now appears to be spilling over to services. A further concern in the euro area is that the exceptionally low level of interest rates may be losing its effectiveness in stimulating the economy and potentially adding to financial stability risks further down the road. This backdrop has triggered several calls for more aggressive use of fiscal policy, but while 2020 should see a positive fiscal impulse in the euro area, this remains too moderate to offset the headwinds of the greater bilateralism in trade, Brexit, climate change, and digitalization. This reality, moreover, leaves a region exposed to social tensions and political uncertainty. To our minds, a brighter path is possible, but requires much more determined policy action in delivering on the various European projects, be it the European Green Deal, the digital single market, completing banking union, or advancing capital markets union. The idea of giving a greater role to fiscal policy, supported by accommodative monetary policy, is about to be put to the test in Japan, where the government is preparing a fiscal stimulus plan with the hope of delivering a boost of 1.4 percentage points to the Japanese economy. Our concern, however, is that this number is likely to prove too optimistic. Indeed, in the past, Japan's fiscal policy has delivered less than hoped for. Moreover, although Japan has reached a trade deal with the US, the reality of trade bilateralism is likely to hit this region as well, and not least given the reality of structurally slower growth in China. Having surfed on trade and investment expansion, China is becoming increasingly reliant on its own domestic consumer, and this at a time when monetary policy stimulus is finding it increasingly difficult to lift the domestic Chinese economy. In a nutshell, China needs more structural reform. Summing up our global outlook, our view is one of a cyclical downturn. Whether the outlook turns structurally weaker, however, depends to a large extent on the ability of global policymakers to adopt a more multilateral approach, and not least when it comes to addressing the key challenges of climate change, digitalization, and social inclusion.